Don't settle for fakes. My duel-taining is the real deal.
Hello everyone and welcome to my video guide to Infernity. This is a deck that has been around for a while, but recent developments have motivated me to talk about it. So first, a little bit of TCG history. Infernity was considered one of the first really intricate combo decks of the late Synchro / early Exist formats, where it was able to leverage 3 launchers and 3 archfiends in order to assemble powerful synchro boards that were really difficult to interact with. Monsters like Bryonak and Trishula could easily lock your opponent out of playing the game entirely. This dominance eventually led to Infernity Launcher being limited to 1 copy per deck, which did nothing to kill the deck, as Infernity got a little bit of support in the year 2013, I think it was, when Infinity Barrier released, which is an Omni that is searchable for the deck. So you can guess how that ended. After Infinity's won Worlds in 2014, playing a really powerful rank 4 toolbox deck, assisted with really strong cards like Soul Shard and stuff, the deck received another huge nerf. Infinity Archfiend was being moved to 1. Prior to that, I should mention that Barrier was itself moved to 1, but it did nothing to stop the deck, so Barrier was freed, but Archfiend was moved to 1 and hasn't left the ban list since, and according to many, this was enough to decidedly kill the deck for good.
You killed him.
No. He's just stunned. He'll be all right in a couple of minutes. Well.
Now granted, Infernities are still playable. They did receive a couple of new support cards in 2020, and there are many ways to, you know, just toss Archfiend into your graveyard so you can get your combo started. But with only 1 Archfiend and 1 launcher, the deck is far from being the threat that it used to be. Anyway, in Duel Links we have 3 Archfiends and 3 launchers. Oops. I think it's really interesting because the deck has really evolved since its first inception in Duel Links, and by first inception I mean the first time Archfiend and launchers have both been made available in the same box, because the first Infinity builds without Archfiend and launcher were just pure copium, just garbage, unplayable garbage. So first and foremost, the good cards. Archfiend and launcher, you always want to play, I want to say 3 of them, but recent builds have cut on 2 Archfiend. The idea is you use Archfiend, special summon it in order to get to Launcher, Launcher to special summon Archfiend after using it as material on the board, and you keep using this interaction until you've drawn all of your launchers, and then you start searching for Infinity Break or Infinity Barrier, and you're basically set. This obviously works better when you're going first, but it's still a really powerful combo tool going second, so I can't stress enough how important it is that you play at least 2 Archfiend and always 3 launchers. Next up, the Infinity Traps that are actually free to play. Both of them are level up rewards. Banner is an Omni, we only have 1 of it, and Omnis are only really good going first. Well, they can be decent going second. But this one is searchable, so you know, you play the one. And right, Infernity Break is pretty good as well. It's a pretty good card. It's targeting destruction, but no, it's a solid card, and you'd be a fool not to play it. Play it only at 1 copy though, only the one that you can search. You can try versions playing 2 or 3, but I think you'll find that these versions are a little bit more bricky than they should be. For the Infernity Necro guys, first there's Infinity Necromancer, which can special summon 1 Infinity from your graveyard, but this is a soft once per turn, just like Archfiend, so you can just reuse it. So if you have, say, Necromancer in your graveyard alongside 2 other Infinities and Launcher, you can revive Necromancer and one other Infernity, and then use Necromancer to revive the third Infernity, which is kinda cool, kinda busted. Definitely a card you should be considering playing. Might always not fit in your build, but I think recent builds have shown that there is still a place for this card, especially in link-oriented builds. Infinity Mirage kinda fell off, but it used to be a really good cards and really good ways to kickstart your plays. The issue with it is that it can't be special summoned from the graveyard, so it's not easy to easily get access to it. This being said, I think it can still fit in some builds and be interesting enough, so yeah, worth considering. Infinity Doom Dragon and 100 Eyes Dragon are synchro bosses in a way. Infinity Doom Dragon saw more plays in Resonator than anything, and it's really not all that impressive. Basically dealing half burn in order to, I don't know, not do your battle phase. It is not as powerful as other Infinity bosses that the deck has access to, which is a shame. 100 Eyes Dragon is a combo piece. It's basically a way for you to use Mirage Effect once again. That's all there is to it, that's all you're ever going to use it for. It's decent in that regard. And last but not least for this section, Infinity Sage is the newest and best tuner for the deck. It can easily, you know, send Archfiend to the graveyard in order to be able to use it later. It's a level 2 tuner, which means it is kind of flexible. It's a really nice card. You should definitely be playing 2 to 3 of it. Infinity Wildcat doesn't fit in every Infinity build, but the fact that it can special summon itself is a level 3 for Transmodify, and can also level modulate in order to access different synchro options is always appreciated. This one's a good cat. And last but not least, Infinity Doom Archfiend is kind of a middle-of-the-road boss monster. It can pop a card on the field, it can negate effect of the cards before popping it, which is also really cool, and also gives an intelligence effect to a Dark Synchro monster that uses it as material. It's pretty decent. It's a good Infernoid name that you can, Infernity name that you can revive with Launcher in order to set up for Break and Barrier. It's definitely a card that is worth one spot if you're an extra deck. Infinity Conjurer is not all bad. It's kind of a weird card. The fact that it can special summon itself from the graveyard is appreciated, but you can only really do it once. So I'm kind of torn on this guy. You can play one copy of him and see how it goes. I'm not sure if you'll always be satisfied with the results though. Infinity Suppression was considered for a while as a way to deal with problematic cards like Diddy Crow for the deck. I don't think it's that good or even that important, but it feels like a win more card, especially when you already have access to Raigeki Break. I keep saying Raigeki Break, Infernity Break, and Barrier. Now for the bad cards, Infinity Guardian can be destroyed. Wow! That's not impressing anyone in 2022. Infinity Patriarch was considered as an extender for a rank 4 oriented toolbox deck, but doesn't really do much other than that. I think it's one of the cards that might actually see occasional play, and maybe its place in this section of the video is a bit harsh, but I don't think it's really all that good at the moment. Zero Max is one of these cards that you read and you think it's really good, and then you read it again and you realize it's really bad. You think it's another copy of Monster Reborn. I show you a card that prevents you from conducting your battle phase and potentially wipes your own board if you're not careful with it. Infinity Beetle used to be the star level 2 tuner of the deck, but now that we have Sage, there's basically no reason to play it, even though it has a kinda cute effect that nobody ever resolved. Infinity Avenger, I'm pretty sure this card was only played in Dark Worlds. It is a level 1 tuner that special summoned itself, but doesn't really advance your plays in any meaningful capacity. And Infinity Knight is just... Infinity Knight was basically a card that we considered playing only because we were missing on so many Infinity pieces that we were just coping really hard that this was actually playable. And everything else, every other Infinity card is really garbage. That's it. I'm going too far with this. Some of these are definitely playable, and I'm going to showcase a build of the deck that does play some of these terrible cards. but don't bother reading them for the time being. Onto the deck lists. These are my specific decks for basically each version of the deck. I don't think these are the best decks, but they're kind of neat. The Shell of a Ghost version that I'm currently running is pretty standard. 2 Archfiend, 2 Necromancers, Wildcats, Sages, Launchers, Break, Barrier, and of course the Transmodifies. The idea is you want to end on a board comprising of Decode Talker, maybe a Synchro Boss, and a couple of Infernity monsters in order to make sure that Barrier is always live. And you're playing MSTs because sometimes you don't get to go first and you have to go second, and when you do, shit sucks. Yeah, because this deck is really susceptible to disruption, and you have to play the MSTs. You have to play the MSTs. Play the MSTs. This is the Fleeting Hand version that I've been playing around with. It plays Garbage Log alongside Downbeat in order to cheat out an Infinity Archfiend from the deck, kind of the same way you do with Transmodify, actually. And the crux of the deck is basically the same. The objective is you want to assemble a board of powerful link monsters, including Firewall Dragon, so you can use its bounce effect at quick effect speed. But the other components are basically the same: Infernity, Barrier, Infernity, Break. Good luck. This is a sort of outdated Infinity Inferno build oriented towards going second and OTKing. This one is playing Mirages and Kytroids. You could probably afford to play a second Archfiend in case the first one gets removed by an Infernoid or a DD Crow. But in the meantime, I think it's a pretty decent build. We're playing Link Disciple and Nightmare Phoenix in order to get rid of Iblis that might be on our way. Other than that, this build is really standard from 2021. And this is a free-to-play Infernity list, courtesy of Duel Links free-to-play, that basically aims to make some synchro boards or rank 3 plays using Conjurers, Wildcats, potentially Sage, and the effect of Infernity General, which allows it to tribute itself to special summon 2 level 3 or lower Infernity monsters from your graveyard. This isn't once per turn either, and this deck is kind of struggling with making consistent threats, but I think it's pretty cool, it's pretty neat, and if you don't have the money to dig for Archfiends and Launchers, this is definitely an alternative you could consider. All in all, I think Infernity is a really cool deck. I know it's really easy to look at Infernity and boards and be like, wow, this deck is unfair, this deck doesn't let me play the game. But I think that I kind of like that Infernity is basically the ceiling for how powerful combo decks can be in Duel Links, with all the caveats that come attached to it. Like, you can't really go second because you're afraid of disruption. You have a pretty reasonable chance of messing up your own place. You have to be always careful. And no, I kind of like this deck. I really like seeing how it evolved across the years, and I can't wait to see what people come up with next. So that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. I will be playing a couple of them games with Infernity list and let you know how they go and share the replays here. And yeah, thank you for watching this video once again. It's been a bit ludicrous. I'm pretty sure I've said Infernoid instead of Infernity at least 7 times. Keep calling Infernity Break Raigeki Break, because it's basically what it is. But hope you enjoyed the video nonetheless, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye!